He wants more from the Attorney General, and he wants more from the president. Can he make a case for why? Let's see. Congressman Cummings, thank you very much for joining us.
It's good to be with you.
All right, so where is the Democratic leadership right now in terms of confidence in what we saw in terms of a summary from the AG and any conversations between the Democratic leadership and the AG?
Well, right now, we're waiting for the AG to give us the report. We have to have the report. I don't think there have been too many conversations at all. As you know, last night, Senator Graham claims that he had a discussion with the Attorney General, and he said that we would get the report in weeks and not months. Well, weeks is not good enough for us. We want it in days. As a matter of fact, we want it on the 2nd.
Do you have reason to be suspicious of the summary?
Yes, of course. You know, when you keep in mind that the Attorney General back in June of last year basically interviewed through writing and gave his opinion about obstruction, said he didn't believe in it with regard to the president. And he interviewed for the job basically through that memo. And now to see what he has done and did it so quickly. Keep in mind, the Mueller and his staff of numerous attorneys worked for 22 months. And then Barr comes along in a matter of 48 hours, declares exoneration on both counts. So I'm very much concerned. But more importantly than that, first of all, let me be clear. I trust Mueller. I said it before and I'll say it again. I wanted him to release the report, whether it exonerated the president or not, because I think the people and the Congress deserve to know what's in that report. And it's going to be very interesting, Chris, to see what's there.
The pushback on the timing, Congressman Cummings, is grand jury testimony takes time to parse. You have to get a court order for it. It takes time. There's a felony violation if you release grand jury testimony. Sure. You're not supposed to. So he needs time. Is that a fair point?
I think it's fair with regard to needing time. But I think they can expedite this and get this done. After all, this is a major issue for the American people and for our Congress. As a matter of fact, we could be headed towards a crisis, a constitutional crisis. So it makes sense for us to do everything in our power, that is for Barr to do everything in his power to expedite this matter. Of course, I do not want to jeopardize the release of grand jury testimony or things that might be classified or might be harmful to the security of Americans. But at the same time, we need to see this report.
The reporting is that 3 weeks ago, Mueller went to the AG and the deputy AG and said, we're nowhere on obstruction. We're deadlocked. We don't know what to do on it. So that they actually had weeks to consider it, not just a weekend.
Well, again, I don't know what information he based that on. Still, you know, I don't mind talking about this, Chris, but it would certainly be nice to have the report and have the underlying documents.
Now, you said we could be heading for a constitutional crisis. How so? If it holds up that Mr. Mueller didn't see criminal activity in terms of the president or anyone around him participating in Russian interference, and he couldn't make a decision on obstruction, what kind of crisis are we facing?
Well, we've got a situation, Chris, where clearly there are obviously, and I don't know it to be a fact because we haven't seen the report, but obviously there must be a number of facts on both sides. And at some point, we may very well come to a point where Mr. Barr, that is our Attorney General, does not want to release hardly anything. That in and of itself could get us in a position where this would have to be challenged in some kind of way.
Now, in terms of what else here needs to be done, the Republicans are saying that this report ends it. And they came out today and said any development like what you're doing in your hearing, going back years looking for documents of the president, that it's not fair, it's not justified based on what we just saw in the Mueller summary. Do you agree?
Oh, of course not. Keep in mind that by the way, the Republicans complain about everything I do. Keep in mind, Chris, when we brought Mr. Coyne in, he brought some checks in, and he talks about the president and involved with the paramours, and the president, and what checks in signed by the president. We also know that Mr. Cohen is going to prison for crimes whereby the U.S. attorney says that were directed by the president. So we've got a duty to follow up on those things. You've got at least 12 investigations going on right now on other things, such as with his inaugural committee, his campaign, and a number of other issues. And we are looking very carefully at the whole issue of security clearances. So there's a number of things that we have to look at. But again, we can do more than one thing at one time, and we're doing them.
All right. Congressman Cummings, I appreciate it. I know some of these matters are sensitive, but it seems that the big push is to get the information to the American people and then make decisions about what else is needed from there.
That's exactly right, Chris.
All right. Well, I think that's a good place to be right now. The more we know, the more disclosure, the more clarity for the people. Congressman, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.